What if I told you that you've been living with a secret about yourself your entire life? You were taught that humans have 5 senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. Maybe at some point you heard people talk about a mysterious 6th sense. If you still believe in the 5-sense story, you're missing out on how deeply connected and powerful you actually are. Science has already confirmed not 6, but at least 15 senses working inside you right now, shaping every moment of your reality. These senses are the hidden keys that explain why you feel what you feel, why you know things without words, and why ancient teachings about vibration, balance, and inner awareness always seem to ring true. In this video, we'll uncover 15 senses neuroscience recognizes, each one unlocking a deeper layer of human experience, and each one resonating with wisdom, traditions that have whispered about hidden perception for centuries. So let's step beyond the 5-sense box and begin expanding the way you see yourself and the universe. For over 2,000 years, the world has lived with a simple story about perception. The idea that humans have only 5 senses. This idea comes from Aristotle, the Greek philosopher who cataloged sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch as the complete list of how we know the world. His influence was so powerful that his model shaped Western thought for centuries. Schools, books, and even science textbooks kept repeating it as if it were a law of nature. But here's the problem. While Aristotle's 5-sense framework was useful, it was also incomplete. By reducing perception to only 5 categories, humanity overlooked the incredible complexity of the body's interaction with reality. Neuroscience has since shown that perception is not limited to a handful of doorways. Instead, our nervous system contains specialized receptors, circuits, and pathways that decode many more dimensions of information. Think of it this way. Imagine someone giving you a piano, but only allowing you to play 5 keys. You could make music, but you would never know the richness of what the instrument can really do. Living with the 5-sense myth is like playing life's piano with most of the keys muted. This is not just an academic correction, it is a spiritual and existential one. Because when people believed there were only 5 senses, they unconsciously narrowed their idea of reality. They dismissed experiences like balance, intuition of the body, subtle vibrations, or even the body's quiet messages about hunger and internal states. These were pushed aside, considered secondary or invisible, when in fact they are vital. Neuroscience has begun to map out what Aristotle never could: the dozens of sensory channels embedded in our biology. Scientists now identify at least 15 distinct senses, each with its own set of receptors and pathways. This doesn't only add detail to the picture, it radically expands what it means to be human. You are not a simple 5-doorway creature moving through life. You are a sophisticated, multi-dimensional perceiver. What makes this discovery so meaningful is how it resonates with ancient teachings. Spiritual traditions across cultures have long spoken of layered perception, energies, vibrations, inner knowing, and the felt sense of balance and harmony. While Aristotle gave us a simplified map, mystics preserved the deeper truth, that human beings are built to perceive reality in many dimensions. Science is finally catching up, offering measurable proof of what was intuited for millennia. So as we move forward, we'll count beyond the 5-sense story into the 15 senses neuroscience confirms. Each one is not just a scientific fact. It's a bridge between body and spirit, a reminder that your perception of reality is richer than you were ever told. From here, let's begin with the senses most people assume are contained in touch. Most of us were taught that touch is just one sense. We think of it as the skin feeling pressure when we bump into something, or when someone places a hand on our arm. But neuroscience shows that what we call touch is not one doorway at all. It is a collection of different senses, each specialized, each designed to decode a different layer of reality. Let's examine the ability to sense heat and cold, a concept scientists call thermoception. You feel this every time you step outside on a summer day or hold an ice cube in your hand. Specialized nerve endings in the skin detect temperature shifts and send signals to the brain, letting you know whether something is warm, cool, or dangerously hot. But there's more to it than survival. Spiritual traditions have long linked heat and cold with energetic states. Practices like fire rituals or ice baths are not only symbolic, but directly tied to how the body perceives energy changes. Thermoception reminds us that perception of reality is as much about subtle shifts in energy as it is about physical safety. Next is nociception, the sense of pain. Pain is often seen as something we want to avoid, but it is actually one of the body's most important teachers. Receptors for pain warn us of injury, imbalance, or threat. On a deeper level, nociception shows how the body communicates boundaries. Just as emotional pain can guide us to protect the heart, physical pain reveals where care and attention are needed. Mystics have often spoken of suffering as a signal for growth or alignment. Neuroscience confirms that pain is not punishment, but perception, a call to awareness. Closely related is a sense many overlook, proprioception, or the sense of itch. Unlike pain, itch has its own neural pathways, distinct from nociception. Think about that. Your body actually designed a separate system just to detect irritation. While it may seem small, itch teaches us about constant dialogue between body and environment. It is a signal to act, to remove what doesn't belong, or to notice something subtle affecting us. Spiritually, it mirrors the inner itch of the soul, the restlessness that tells us there is more to explore, more to uncover. Then there is vibration sense. Your skin can detect oscillations through mechanoreceptors, which let you feel the texture of music through a speaker, the rhythm of footsteps, or the buzzing of a phone. But vibration is more than surface-level sensation. It connects directly to the ancient idea that reality itself is vibration. From chanting in temples to the humming of mantras, cultures have always recognized vibration as a way to tune the body and spirit to deeper layers of existence. Science shows us that the body is literally wired to feel vibration, aligning with teachings that describe creation itself as a song of frequencies. Finally, there is pleasant or social touch. This is not just about detecting pressure. Effective touch pathways in the nervous system are tuned to sense emotional quality, in touch, the warmth of a hug, the tenderness of a hand on your back, the comfort of gentle contact. Neuroscience shows that these signals travel differently in the brain, influencing feelings of trust, bonding, and emotional safety. Spiritually, this sense mirrors the ancient truth that connection is not only emotional, but biological. The body itself is designed to register love, comfort, and care as sensory realities. When you put all of these together, thermoception, nociception, itch, vibration, and social touch, it becomes clear that touch is not a single sense. It is a symphony of different channels, each one teaching you something unique about reality. Science maps the pathways while spiritual traditions remind us of the meaning behind them. Together, they show us that the skin is not just a protective layer, but a living interface between the seen and unseen, between matter and energy. This is why touch has always been sacred in rituals, healing practices, and even in everyday acts of kindness. It is not only the hand meeting the world, it is the world meeting you through senses that go far beyond what we were taught. Let's move into another group of senses that most people never think about, yet rely on every single moment of their lives. These are the senses that allow you to know where you are, how you move, and whether you are balanced with the world around you. The first is proprioception. Imagine closing your eyes and touching your nose with your finger. You can do it because of proprioception, the sense that tells you where each part of your body is in space without needing to look. Specialized receptors in muscles, tendons, and joints send signals to the brain, mapping out your body's position. This hidden sense keeps you coordinated and connected to your physical form. Spiritually, proprioception is deeply meaningful. It mirrors the concept of self-awareness, the ability to know yourself, not only mentally, but physically. Ancient movement practices like yoga, tai chi, or martial arts all sharpen this sense, training the body to align with inner awareness. The second is kinesthesia, the sense of movement. While proprioception tells you where your limbs are, kinesthesia tells you how they are moving. You know the difference between walking slowly and running fast because of this sense. It lets you feel motion even without sight or sound. Kinesthesia reveals the constant dance between body and environment, a flow of energy that is always in motion. Spiritual teachings often describe life as movement, a river rather than a still picture. Kinesthesia is the body's way of living that truth, proving that you are never static, but always in motion, always part of the greater flow. The third is the vestibular sense, often called the balance system. Deep in the inner ear, tiny fluid-filled canals detect gravity and acceleration. This sense tells you which way is up, when you are falling, or when you are steady. Without it, you could not stand, walk, or even focus your eyes properly. It is easy to take this sense for granted, but balance is one of the most profound metaphors for life itself. Every spiritual tradition speaks of balance. Balance between mind and body, between action and rest, between the material and the spiritual. The vestibular sense makes this idea tangible. Your body is literally designed to seek equilibrium, reminding you that balance is not just a concept, but a lived biological reality. When you step back, these three senses, proprioception, kinesthesia, and vestibular balance, form a hidden foundation of human life. They are why you can walk through a crowded room without crashing into people, why you can dance to music, why you can climb a staircase or practice stillness in meditation. Neuroscience shows that these senses are mapped in the cerebellum and inner ear, while ancient practices treat them as gateways to embodiment. Together, they teach us that awareness is not only about looking outward at the world, but also about feeling inward. To be grounded, to move with flow, to stand in balance, these are not just spiritual goals. They are sensory truths written into your biology. So far, we've looked at senses that connect you with the outer world and with your body's position in space. But there is an even more intimate layer of perception that neuroscience has uncovered. It is the ability to sense what is happening inside you. This is called interoception. Interoception is the body's way of monitoring itself. Specialized receptors throughout your organs and tissues send constant updates to the brain about heartbeat, breath, digestion, and internal balance. You know the feeling of your heart racing when you are anxious, or the calm rhythm of your breath when you meditate. That is interoception at work, guiding you to notice the signals of life moving within. This sense is powerful because it forms a bridge between the physical and the emotional. Research shows that people with stronger interoceptive awareness are more in tune with their emotions. They can recognize subtle changes within themselves before those feelings fully rise to the surface. From a spiritual perspective, this mirrors the practice of tuning in to inner guidance, often described as intuition or the voice within. Interoception makes it clear that this voice is not imaginary. It is biological, encoded into your nervous system, waiting to be listened to. Closely related are two additional senses that play a central role in survival: hunger and thirst. At first glance, they may seem too basic to be considered hidden senses. But neuroscience treats them as distinct, with their own signaling systems and receptors. Hunger is not just an empty stomach rumbling. It is a complex dialogue of hormones, nutrients, and brain circuits that alert you when your body needs energy. Thirst is equally precise, detecting subtle shifts in blood chemistry that signal a need for water long before dehydration sets in. What makes these senses fascinating is not only their biological function, but their symbolic meaning. Hunger and thirst are reminders that the body is constantly reaching for balance. Just as physical hunger pushes you to seek food, spiritual hunger pushes you to seek meaning. Just as thirst drives you to find water, soul-level thirst drives you to search for connection, purpose, and truth. Ancient texts often speak of hunger and thirst for wisdom, for righteousness, or for awakening. Neuroscience now shows that this language is not merely poetic. It reflects how our deepest drives, both physical and spiritual, are communicated through sensation. When you step back, you can see how interoception, hunger, and thirst are not secondary senses at all. They are central to being human. They allow the body to survive, yes, but also to guide awareness inward. They whisper messages that can only be heard when you pause and pay attention. This is why so many spiritual practices, fasting, breathwork, meditation, use the inner senses as tools for awakening. By listening deeply to the signals of the body, people throughout history have discovered new dimensions of self and spirit. Neuroscience confirms what mystics intuited long ago. Your body is never silent. It is speaking all the time through internal signals, guiding you toward health, safety, and alignment. To ignore these senses is to ignore one of the most important voices you have. To awaken them is to open a pathway into both science and spirit, where the body itself becomes a teacher. With this, we have uncovered 15 distinct senses recognized by modern neuroscience. But the real question is, what do all of these senses mean for how we experience reality itself? Let's bring the picture together. When you realize you are a 15-sense being, perception is no longer flat. It becomes layered. Each sense opens a unique window into the world. Some windows reveal heat and vibration, others reveal balance and motion, and others open inward to heartbeat, hunger, and breath. Put together, they create a multidimensional picture of life that is richer than the narrow 5-sense story. From a scientific view, this is about how the nervous system processes information. From a spiritual view, it is about awakening to the fullness of what it means to be human. The body is not just a survival machine. It is a receiver tuned to many frequencies of existence. These frequencies do not stop at the edges of the skin. They extend into the field of energy and consciousness that mystics have described for thousands of years. This is where the bridge becomes clear. Science shows us that the body has receptors designed to feel vibration. Ancient wisdom has long spoken of reality as vibration. Science reveals internal senses that track heartbeat and breath. Spiritual traditions speak of listening to the inner voice. Neuroscience proves there are pathways in the brain for pleasant social touch. Mysticism has always said that love and connection are as real as any physical sensation. The language is different, but the truth is shared. Human beings are built to experience reality as more than matter. The implication is simple, but profound. If your perception is already 3 times wider than you were told, then reality is already larger than you imagined. What you thought of as intuition may in fact be interoceptive awareness. What you thought of as energy may connect to your ability to detect vibration. What you thought of as inner balance may be grounded in your vestibular sense. Instead of separating science from spirituality, these hidden senses show how both can describe the same landscape from different angles. This matters for how you live. Seeing yourself as a 5-sense being reduces life to surfaces. Seeing yourself as a 15-sense being reminds you that you are designed to engage reality on multiple levels. This awareness shifts how you approach everything from relationships to healing to spiritual practice. It means that awakening is not about acquiring something new. It is about paying attention to senses you already have, senses that have been speaking quietly all along. In the end, neuroscience is not taking away the mystery. It is deepening it. The more we learn about these senses, the more it confirms that human beings are multidimensional receivers of reality. This aligns perfectly with what mystics have always intuited. Life is not a flat surface. It is a layered field of perception, waiting for us to open to it fully. Which brings us to the final step. If you are not a 5-sense creature but a 15-sense perceiver, what does that mean for how you live, how you awaken, and how you connect with the universe itself? For most of your life, you were told that you are a 5-sense being. Sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell were painted as the limits of what it means to perceive reality. But science has revealed a deeper truth. You are not confined to 5 doorways. You are equipped with at least 15 senses, each one designed to open a different layer of experience. This changes everything. It means you are not a flat observer moving through a narrow world. You are a multidimensional perceiver, tuned to the subtleties of heat, vibration, balance, inner rhythm, and the language of the body itself. You are wired for more reality than you were ever told. Spiritual traditions have long hinted at this. They taught that life is layered, that energy flows through everything, that the body speaks in whispers of intuition and longing. Science is confirming those whispers with measurable evidence. Together, they form a powerful message. You are far more awake to reality than you have been led to believe. Knowing this, would you remain in the narrow frame of 5 senses, or to step into the expanded reality that both science and spirit are pointing toward? The choice is yours.